Thanks for coming, mate.
Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you.
Nice to be with you.
It's
Now,
nice to
well,
have you here too.
you were a composer, you were a lawyer, and even a platoon soldier in Vietnam. So please tell everyone listening what inspired you to compose music.
Well, I've always been a low frequency person, never was
True,
that good at drawing or
real,
painting, that sort of thing. Maybe
real
painting
based.
walls I could do, but as far as painting like an artist, no. And I was always drawn to sound in general,
Yep,
but
I feel you, Bobby.
mostly harmonies. My mother was very musical.
And actually, yeah, I feel you here too as well
Played
because
everything in the key of E flat, which is
oh,
the key
beautiful
with
key. I
all
love.
the great songbook, and
Yeah,
so
E flat and B
just
flat. They're
heard
my
all the
shit, my dude.
chords, and I guess I inherited that from her. And
What a yeah,
just always wanted to sing harmony with whatever.
what a absolutely beautiful musical upbringing. Being uh, shown and taught harmonies by your mum. Well, on the E flat fucking songbook. Yes, man. That's how you raise a Bobby Prince musician.
Anybody was singing, and just grew up with a fascination with mixing sounds together to make them
Yeah, because
pleasant,
it's
or
cool, it's fun,
sometimes
or to make them silly.
unpleasant.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's
So,
cool. Because that- I paused and said like, that's how you get a Bobby Prince because makes me reflect on my comparable music experience of like this is no cap. Like I have no reason to lie about this. I was born to the Roger Eno's album Voices, which is a sort of piano heavy ambient album that prominently features usage of the augmented fourth interval. And that kind of set me up for life in terms of that is now my musical preferences because that's literally what I heard coming out of the womb was Roger Eno's Voices, lovely ambient pads and lovely sparse, very reverberated piano and stuff like that. And as I mentioned, and because Roger Eno, the bass Eno brother, was clearly a classically trained pianist, etc., and knew his musical theory, he knew the beauty of the augmented fourth interval and how to sort of most effectively get its full usage in terms of its teleological form, that is to say, like the push pull, tension and release ability that the augmented fourth interval uniquely has, as opposed to the flat five, which is a like fart with reverb, big chungus, diminished chord sounding like slop with people who like tech metal sort of an interval. But the augmented fourth is based, my dudes. Yeah. Anyway, back to it.
that's sort of how it all got started.
Do you
Yeah,
have any
based, man,
favorite
based.
composers or bands out there?
Oh man, my
That's a
composers go back
too
to
big a question
the
to ask
early
a musician.
Broadway tunes because of the chord structures. They're
Yeah,
so
they were very
just
intricate.
wonderful. They were able to convey
Very
any
intricate. I could
emotion.
understand that.
It's
Yeah.
difficult to convey emotion just with volume of sound, and of course, a lot of the music I've done for games was really more of a volume kind of thing. There wasn't a whole lot of nuance with chord structures and that kind of thing. They were
Yeah, well,
really
it's per the
simplified
limitations of
most
the
of the
tech at the time.
anyway. And
Yeah,
so
you did what you
I
could
just
with what you
was
had.
always drawn to that sort of thing. I mean, I like every kind of music. I mean, actual music,
Yeah, exactly.
where there is a
But I like the
melody,
even not
where
actual music
you
stuff
can
too.
hear a melody while they're playing the chords in your
No,
own mind.
no. Like this is where the baseness disagreements start because went to arty-fart music school, studied like art music type of a cunt. I'm like, no, man, no. You saying the music needs melody? No. Anyway, keep going.
And there's nothing really bad. It's up to the individual that's listening to it. You know, I
Exactly.
try to give it all a listen. I found some really neat stuff over the years that people
Exactly.
have written that never made it, but just it surprised me that it didn't. I guess they never.
And even I've surprised myself over the years. If you just listen to stuff that you think you would otherwise hate, and then find out there's actually parts of it you quite like. For example, even though I'm a boomer ass old bitch, I do actually have a bit of a soft spot for some contemporary K-pop bands. Don't you fucking dare let that open the floodgates. No, I don't like K-pop, but there are some K-pop artists that, like Blackpink and Lisa. Oh fuck, Lisa's my shit, my dude. Lisa's so good. But yeah, a small handful, a couple others like that. G Idol, aespa is real fucking good. But yeah, that is to say, that is the limit of my K-pop tastes. Don't recommend me any others further because I really don't want to get into it and stuff. But yeah, if you just you can surprise yourself if you just sort of drop your ego every now and then in regards to your personal preferences, and just give something a go that you previously thought you hated. You might find something that's pretty jam, my dudes. Actually,
never had the break, you know. And it is luck. I mean, my getting into this was
Yeah.
being ready for it, but it was luck.
everyone in the game
A
industry
bit more
in the
about
80s
that.
and 90s was
Actually,
luck.
The composing jobs at both id Software and Apogee Software.
Were you just like in the same building?
It was
Probably.
in 1991. That's before
Yeah, I was born.
people were connected to the internet. Normal people, anyway. The regular kind of person. And
Regular. Instead of them DARPA guys.
But I was on both CompuServe and Prodigy, and there were on Prodigy they had boards set up for different kinds of interests.
Was Prodigy
There
a
was one that
BBS?
was, computer sound and music,
Or was that
something
pre-BBS?
to that effect.
I'm not that
I
familiar.
got on it and ran into other people who were using electronics to record their music, either audibly or
That's awesome.
MIDI.
Because they would have been
recording.
real
And I've done
enthusiasts
a
back
lot of
then, man.
performance recording and
They posted
trying to
anything?
mix it with
And you
audio,
found their
and
post?
It was very difficult.
Back then?
Tools were
That would have
just
been
not
amazing.
there as they are now. But anyway, I had been doing backtracks for my brother, who's a singer.
Back shots!
Do a
Young people in the
one-man
fucking
act.
chat.
I'd learned MIDI and how to sort of make the sounds that you needed to sort of fake recordings of that day. And anyway, I met other people that were doing that, and then some people that were actually working on game music and were hopeful to get a job doing it. And
Ooh, back then,
we
that's
all shared
tough.
information. And one day, I believe it was a Sunday in April of '91, I believe it was, a guy named Scott Miller put a general kind of a post up that said he was interested in hearing from people who might be interested in writing music for computer games. That he had a
Computer games.
distributed them and all of that. And I had no idea who he was. I don't think anybody else really knew either. But let's see, 2 weeks before that, I had downloaded on maybe CompuServe had downloaded the first Commander Keen, and I thought it was inspired as along with
Whoa!
thousands.
He wasn't on for
that
like
were-
the first Commander Keen. Whoa! I mean, I have watched this before, but I guess I didn't really store that in my neurons. Whoa! He came across Commander Keen like organically before writing music for it. Whoa!
online and were sharing information. And but I didn't know Scott had anything to do with that. When I got to talking to him, well, let me put it this way: about 50 people responded to him, and for some reason, he chose to call me first. And we talked for a while, and I was going,
I know the reason. Booby Prince. B is first letter in alphabet of the stack of paper.
I wonder if this guy really is serious or if he's just maybe a wannabe or whatever. But I talked with him and he said, well, you might be familiar with a game that we recently released called Commander Keen.
Oh shit!
I went, yep.
You're like, yeah, boy, hire me, man.
He
That's rad.
introduced me to all of his game developers, including Ed, gave them my number, and I think the first person to call me was John Romero, and we talked about
Fucking hell.
Louisiana. And
Imagine, like, you want to get into game composition. It's like 1991, so there's no esteemed video game composers or whatever. So on your Prodigy and CompuServe channels, you find a couple mates who are similarly around the world, like, yeah, boy, we make video game music, we do the old blips and bloops, man, we let that shit, boy. And then you see an ad from some cunt who's like, hey, exactly you guys, what I've just been talking about. We are looking for you to do exactly the thing that you want to do. Holy shit. And then, not only that being a holy shit, excuse me, then when you actually get in touch with the guy, you find out he opens the interview with like, you may have heard of Commander Keen. And then you're like, whoa, yes, man, hire me now, boy. And so you're like, okay, yeah, man, sounds good. Like, here's my number and resume and whatever. Like, yeah, you know, we'll be in touch. We'll be in touch. And then the first number that guy, like, the first person that guy gives your number to is fucking John Romero.
we talked a long time, but he said,
that's insane.
We're going out on the boat because they had a house on a lake and they were going to go out skiing, or else maybe letting crocodiles chase them. I don't know. But anyway, that's how it got started with Scott Miller and his marketing of games and bringing together some really talented game developers early on, back in the early 90s.
What was it like composing for games like Wolfenstein 3D, Duke Nukem 3D, Doom, and so on? What kind of challenges did you face?
There really wasn't, like I say, the software there is now. There were several people who had sort of tried to put out
what software
that game developers could use for music and sound.
Yeah, it's just like, what were you even using back then?
Different, and they cost money. And a lot of these developers...
I hope he answers it. What was the fucking Commander Keen? What was the Doom soundtracks made in? Like, sure it wasn't like Fast Tracker. No, it's way too modern. I'd be fascinated to learn what they were made in.
Some of them were just one person. Others were a couple of friends that worked in their garage. And Ed was possibly the only one at that time that I started working with. Well, I don't believe they had quit working a day job when I first talked to them. They did it somewhere after that time, shortly afterward. So everybody was on a tight budget, and really people weren't able to advertise what they had, because a lot of the developers, they were on CompuServe, but they were on the game development sites, or the what did I call it? The channels, I guess maybe they called them, or boards. And anyhow, it was just hopefully getting enough of an idea about what the people wanted. When they first talked with me, they had nothing but the idea. And maybe they had written out some of their thoughts and might have done a little bit of artwork. But like for Commander Keen, the second one that I worked on, I never saw the game.
Jesus.
They sent me artwork through the mail, snail mail, and it was black and white. I don't think there weren't color printers then.
It's just like, here you go, here's some black and white and bad scans of the concept art.
Description
Make us a soundtrack, please.
What they do and that sort of thing, and I just sort of let my imagination go, and the names of them sometimes spoke to me.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't really have much else to go on, did you, buddy?
In those early games, Duke Nukem was that way. I didn't see the game until after
Really, that
written
soundtrack
most of
fucking
the
jammed as
music
well.
for it. And that was really developed well
Did he do
by
Duke Nukem 2 as well?
Fergal, but he was more or less working directly with Apogee, I think, in their offices by that time. I could be wrong. He might have been working at home and just taking it in to let them see what he was doing. But again, there wasn't the quick get in touch with somebody. I mean, we could make phone calls, but that was the dark ages of phone calls.
Yeah,
Actually,
cold calling.
you know,
Jesus,
sometimes
man.
I'd have to go through an operator to make sure I got a good connection to be
Oh,
able
shit.
to connect up modem to modem to
What a
get
nightmare.
some of what they had come up with, and then very quickly we were able to start uploading to the different bulletin board
Oh,
services.
thank God,
And
yeah.
I got to see more things as that
Instead of
time
sending
went
concept
by.
art via snail mail,
Newcomb,
just put it on the
for a
board,
long
dude.
time I contracted with Apogee to do that before 3D Realms even was called 3D Realms. And 3D Realms actually was Apogee doing business as 3D Realms anyway. It was the same operation with just a different name being used. And for Duke Nukem 3D, it was rather difficult because there were so many people involved. So many people were being used to listen to what I did. They would love it at first, and then they'd go, well, you know, we don't think this is going to work. Can you do more
Bruh.
stuff? And both sound effects and music, because I did
Oh, whoops, I
probably
forgot I was recording.
99% of the sound effects on it. I did probably I'm gonna guess I did better than 2,000 to 3,000 sound effects, of which only a little over 100 were used.
Jesus.
All the
That's the life of a fucking artist, isn't it?
John stuff. I massaged that and edited it for the game, and of course down sampled it because everything had to be small. Music took a hind seat along with sound effects. But anyway, you
I
mentioned
loved that Bit
Wolfenstein
Crush
on that.
sound.
I was really able to use some
Duke 3D
personal
Build Engine Bit Crushing
experiences
specifically.
while I was in the Army, and my father was also in the Army, so I was really an Army brat, and then went into the Army shortly after I wasn't an Army brat anymore. And I just
Poor
sort of had a
fellow.
feel for that. And of course, I did a lot of research on what the German Army was doing, and I used their main theme song of the Nazi Party, I guess, and just said, I hope somebody sues me. I'd love them to sue me. Nobody ever did because nobody wanted to had any interest in it, I suppose.
What a Chad Bobby Prince. Anyway, yeah, that's the end of this sweet thing. I hope you've enjoyed. Watch the rest of it on the actual channel.